everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we want to talk about our personal top Power BI updates in 2025. It won't be a full release recap, but the features that actually changed how we work as BI developers.
So there were a lot of changes throughout the year for Power BI, but Kalina and I discussed all the changes, and we both agreed on two that really stand out. And one of them being user-defined functions, and the other is the new TMDL view. And these two changes, they're really impactful because they made Power BI a much more powerful tool in the hands of advanced users. So it's much more developer friendly. It's much better for long-term sustainability of reports and data models. And it's also much better for data governance. So a lot of these things are very important in large organizations. So Kalina, can you kick us off and explain UDFs and then share a couple of the examples that you put together?
Right, so let me do that. So in September this year, Microsoft announced a new DAX feature called user-defined functions. And in simple terms, UDFs allow you to package DAX logic into a usable function and then call it anywhere in your semantic model. Instead of repeating the same DAX patterns over and over and slightly changing them, you define them once and reuse them consistently. And that's a big deal to me because mainly the governance and consistency. In real projects, business logic almost always never lives purely in the data warehouse. So very often business rules are implemented on the go, directly in semantic model, and that's where UDFs come handy. So we also quite often have business refactoring. So from one year to the other, businesses change their targets, they pivot, and essentially, as part of that, they want refactoring of their KPIs because their targets changed. And with UDFs, refactoring becomes much safer because you have a single modification point. You update the function once, and all of the dependent measures automatically flow. Whereas before, you had to make sure you update every single measure that use this logic, and yeah, there's nothing that really tells you that okay, I updated everything. But to make this UDF topic a bit more practical, we created a GitHub repo, and you can see it below in the comments. The UDF repo contains one of the most commonly used UDFs by us, and it includes functions like applying business logic, period-over-period comparisons, and conditional formatting. But let me share my screen and I'll show you briefly what we have and how you can take advantage of it. So one of the functions that we prepared for you is with a sample business logic that we can apply. So let's say we have sales or other KPI, and in this case, we don't want to count some test transactions, or we have some cancellations, or sales to internal customers. And we are cleaning with this function the sales from these unwanted transactions. And we can apply this again without rewriting the same logic to profit, to cost, and all other KPIs relevant to us. And we also have calculation for month over month as absolute value and percentage. So this is how it looks. So we are defining the function here. The measure name is flexible. And we have the logic for calculating the variance in absolute value and as percentage. And this is how this looks. And I applied this to margin KPI as well, just by writing the name of the UDF and then pointing to the selected explicit measure where I want the month-over-month calculation. And another function that we created for you is related to formatting. Actually, we have two related to formatting. So we have the conditional formatting with colors, assuming gold is positive and green, and negative is white. And we also have a function for automatically summing up the numbers from non-summarization to thousands or millions, depending on how big the number is. And last but not least, we have another function for the standard Pareto principle, where we are calculating what are the customer names that contributed to 80% of the sales this year. This is something that you can easily reuse on product as well, or we made this flexible, so if you're not interested in 80%, which is the standard, you can change the percent as well and the measure. So make sure to check the link to our GitHub repo in the video description below, because we will add even more functions to that. So hopefully, yeah, you find this useful.
Thank you, Kalina, for giving that demo. I think this is a huge update. Personally, in my experience, it's very rare when developing a report or data model where I don't at least reuse some code or some logic, even if it's something simple like formatting numbers like you showed, or conditional formatting. So that's big time saver, and yeah, it's kind of make a lot of improvements. Before we move on to the next topic, since the UDFs are pretty new, they've only been around for a few months. Are there any major limitations that you can think of with them that our viewers should be aware of?
Well, I would say there are two inconveniences to me. So first one being that when defining UDFs, for now, we don't have optional parameters, which is standard in any other language where we have UDFs. But I hope this will be added soon as a functionality. And there's something that, again, I think will be added in the future. But I'm mentioning this just to be aware of if you're creating your own UDFs, that references inside UDFs are not updated automatically. So in practical terms, if you rename a table from fact sales to sales, all of your functions referencing to this table will break, and you need to update these functions like manually. So these are the two major limitations for now. But I'll hand over to you, so you tell us more about the new TMDL view and how it makes our life as developers more efficient.
So the new TMDL view, it's something you can see on the leftmost tab, right below the DEX query view. And this allows you to see certain parts of your data model, or really the entire data model. So you can, from the right, just drag and drop semantic model, and all your code will appear here. All your functions, your tables, your UDFs, and other things. Like let's say if you have hidden columns there, you'll see which ones are hidden. So just before I continue, I just want to say that TMDL, which stands for Tabular Model Definition Language, that in itself is not new. You were able to access it before, but you needed third-party software like Tabular Editor, for example. And then you can still do that, but now Power BI introduced this view that makes it easier where you can do it from Power BI desktop. So that's a big deal. So I'm going to show you a couple examples of how it can be useful. So this report, it's a fairly simple data model, just a few tables. But let's say you do have a complex data model with a lot of tables, a lot of columns and measures, and you want to rename things or change logic, then this will be extremely useful. For example, let's say I have 20 different dimension tables, and I want to shorten the name. I want to remove the dim underscore prefix. I can just do like a find and replace, do that, and that's it. It'll update it in every piece of the code, and then you can apply and change your entire data model. And you can also preview the changes. So it will show you between left and right every piece of the code that you're updating. So this looks similar to GitHub. And in the future, we will be showing a video about version control in GitHub, so please stay tuned for that. But I just want to show you that you are able to preview changes and see it side by side. So that's one way to utilize it. Another one is just to copy parts of your query and share it to your coworkers, your friends, or just for yourself for different reports. For example, I often have similar reports where I copy and paste my Power Query code and I pull the right tables and all the transformations. But oftentimes there's also transformations and logic that happens within the report, so that Power Query won't capture. So you would have to go to recreate every measure, every calculated table, every sorting table, and so on, and do the relationships in the model view. So it's a lot of steps, whereas now you can do it in like one fell swoop. So for example, I have the data I need in my report, but I want to copy a bunch of related measures. Let's say I want all the profit related measures, and I want to add that to my new report. So I can just drag and drop those measures, take this code, copy and paste it into my other report, and just run that. And all these measures will automatically be added to my report. And also the relationships too. So you can copy paste the relationships, same thing, and then just take the code and then run it in your other data model. So a lot of efficiency. Also, I think it's very helpful for just debugging, because you can, a lot of times in a complicated model, you have measures off of calculated columns and measures off of measures and all sorts of logic that builds on previous logic. So this allows you to really just find something that is used in multiple places and just look for it. So like if I do have profit related measures that are built off of other profit measures, I can easily see that. Like for example, I search for profit and I see there's a profit measure, there's a profit margin, and then there's a more advanced measure that's based off of the profit margin. So if something breaks, I can just search for it and then go through it line by line and see all the places where it could potentially be broken and updated. So while this isn't new to any software developer, it is new to Power BI. So as we mentioned, it's more developer friendly. So for advanced users, this can really speed up time and make debugging faster. There's a lot of use cases, and last but not least, I think arguably the biggest change is version control. So Power BI has been around for 10 years, and people have been asking for it, and now it's finally here. So this TMDL view also helps with that. Now there's multiple ways to do version control. One is if you have a Fabric subscription, which I don't have here, but there's another option that's available, and that's using GitHub. So stay tuned for a future video where We're going to showcase how you can use TMDL View for version control and to show you how multiple developers can collaborate on a report. So you can see like a log of all the changes that happen on a model, and we'll show you how you can also revert to previous versions if something changes. So please stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's the end of my demo on TMDL View. As you can see, it's a big time saver and yeah, much needed for like advanced users of Power BI. These are the big changes, but before we wrap up, I wanted to ask Kalina, are there any major updates to Power BI this year that maybe they're not as groundbreaking, but you personally got a lot of utility out of it, and it'll make your job easier, and that you really prefer using it? Is there any big changes in your opinion?
Uh, right, actually, one that's, as I said, not groundbreaking, but I use it quite often. So we had in our video for the previous year, we have this topic for visual level calculations, and they had some limitations in the past, but now we have some improvements over this year, and one of them is being able to apply conditional formatting on visual calculations. It's the standard conditional formatting where we can apply on conditional formatting on the background or on the numbers itself, and it's already available. How about you? Do you have another update that you'd like to mention?
I do, and the one you mentioned is very useful because I use visual calculations quite a lot, but one of the reasons why you sometimes can't use it is for the simple fact that you can't do conditional formatting. So that's a limitation that's been removed. So I'm glad that change occurred. For me, I think a big change that's maybe overlooked a little bit is the introduction of organizational themes. And this update will really benefit like huge companies. So what organizational themes allows you to do is your Power BI admin can go into the admin portal and take a JSON theme file and make it available for your entire organization. So anybody that's logged in, whenever they open Power BI desktop, they will have that theme available to them immediately. So we've always had JSON themes, but you had to actually get the JSON file and manually add it to your report. So in a big company, not everyone may have access to the JSON file or even be aware of this file existing. Or even if they do have it, there might be a new version published and they have an outdated version. So this will immediately be updated there. So it's like a central repository, and everybody will have access to it. It's yeah, big time saver, makes reports more consistent, and yeah, quite an overlooked change that I'm a big fan of. So yeah, that's it. We wanted to share two major updates and some personal favorites. Yeah, please stay tuned for more videos that we are going to cover TMDL View and UDFs in more detail. And if you have any feedback or want us to cover any other topics, please let us know in the comments or reach out directly. So yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for
Yeah.
watching.
Bye.
Bye.